what was the good one last week? Remember, Joe Biden comes out, well, if you elect me president, I'm going to cure cancer. Wow. Why the hell didn't you do that over the last 50 years, Joe?
We will come up with the cures to many, many problems, to many, many diseases, including cancer.
I mean, I would like to apologize to all of those who have ever done political satire. I understand.
What are you going to do now?
This is actually.
You can't beat that.
John Heilemann, you have to be a South Park guy, right?
Yeah, okay. I live in South Park.
Let me tell you something.
I'm talking about.
This is something you would have seen 5 years ago in South Park. They can't do it anymore because John Jr. is doing it for them.
It's awful.
He also, get this, you're going to love this one about Don Jr.
Yeah.
He actually is attacking Joe Biden. Are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready.
For groping. Can't make
that's
this up.
No, you cannot.
That's good stuff.
You can't make it up.
All right.
Isn't it you who said like it's a little? The whole thing has the feel of a kind of like third-rate Vegas lounge act at this point.
It's painful.
It's getting a little
Poconos.
You look at it, you go. It's just apart from everything else. You go, man. I've seen this. I've seen this shtick before.
It is.
Where's the new material?
You know.
It's getting tired.
A Bobby Vinton imitator in 1978 in the Poconos.
Bobby Vinton.
I'd go see it. My Melody of Love.
Man.
I mean, that guy kicked it old school.
Terry Jacks Terry Jacks
tribute band. But you take that up to the Poconos in 2019. My kids
are not loving it.
My kids are going to go, Dad, what is that? I go, it's polka, right? No, they don't want to hear that. And so this thing is old.
Yeah.
And there's a problem with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Is Donald Trump was a disruptor. Donald Trump was dangerous. But he's looking like, as we continue our pop references, and I mean it, he's looking about as dangerous as Austin Powers after he came out of the whole cryogenically frozen thing.
I thought you were about to do a gold member joke of some
So,
no.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Joe.
I'm just curious what John.
like I said, there's a little bit of
old.
It's starting to feel really shticky. The thing of the transgression, the rule breaking, the stuff that obviously worked for him in 2016, and now it just feels like it's like a greatest hits, a K-Tel greatest hits collection, and they sound a little dated.
I got it.
They sound a little. These songs sound a little dated.
I mean, no disrespect to the king of rock and roll, but this is Elvis in '77. Yeah. Just kind of lumbering across the stage, sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
or at Graceland in front of like the 6 televisions with big, huge bottle of Quaaludes.
Okay.
All
right.
A bottle of vodka.
You just took it too far.
Yeah, you were just a foil here.
We're
you don't want to bring it into the gutter.
on-stage performances, but it is getting old. I mean, seriously.
It's Elvis.
It's Elvis
sweating.
Late
in '77, sweating, trying to sing the old hits, but his heart's just not really in it, right? They know what he's going to sing before he sings it. They know all the words, and the guy who was once so exciting now is just dull. He's attacking Heidi. He's attacking.
Heidi's here.
Hillary
So is Eddie
Clinton.
Blood.
He's still attacking Hillary Clinton. Yeah. And like doing lock her up things. Like that's seriously, I mean, that's beyond a
It's not just a rerun.
Tribute band.
It's not just a rerun, but the best part of the rerun can't be replayed because if you remember, his rallying cry in the first campaign was build the wall. So here we are 2.5 years later. That was his marquee issue. The wall's nowhere near being built. I guess the new line now is deport them all, because that was the announcement that he made just a day or two before his first rally. And again, that just like the wall, that's just as improbable.
Okay.
All right, so why don't we play the game?
Yeah.
The kids around the country love Vince Plains since like 2016.
Yeah. Well, he was all over Hillary.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's 2016.
Uh-huh.
Or is it 2020?
Oh.
Let's start with the first. Kids at home.
Crooked Hillary Clinton and the DNC, the insurance policy just in case Hillary Clinton lost. Remember during one of the debates, when crooked Hillary said the free pass they gave to Hillary and her aides. Hillary used the word deplorables. Hillary Clinton made a big mistake with that speech.
Hillary's not running. Hillary's not running, sweetie.
As you pointed out,
Come on, old
Eddie,
guy.
I think it's the same black guy.
It's the same black guy.
The sign said 2020.
They
It was
unfroze him
2020.
from 2016 too.
Don't you remember when you referred to my African American? Look at my African American.
That's actually true. I've run into him in the middle of the night at McDonald's with Sean Hannity. It is the same black guy. You're right about that.
Are you serious?
Well,
Yes.
Eddie said it, and I'm riding in his wake.
There's so many
But Eddie,
questions
but for the 2020 signs, that was his 2016 campaign, which explains why, as the Times and others were reporting, at the end, there were empty seats. People have heard this.
Right.
It's just old. He has nothing new to offer after, hundreds and hundreds of rallies.
Well, 3 hours later, I can understand. 3.5 hours later, I can understand folks walking out. But interesting, folks still bought tickets to Elvis when he was old and sweating because he was Elvis. It was the entertainment.
Well, and for the free drinks.
So I think what I'm saying is that even though it's old and repeated, we heard a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, a lot of excitement. Folk were there.
All right, Ron Fournier is also with us, by the way, just to sort of roll into the beginning of the show here. And let's bring some,
An Elvis impersonator.
I'd say let's restore order, but
That's me.
I'd say let's restore order, but we never had it. But we're going to have it now, John Heilman and Joe Scarborough.
Okay.
Shut your pile hose for a second. We're gonna organize.
Oh, and guess what? We saw. She's just telling me to go off in a new direction. We saw yesterday last night.
It was so good.
Had you seen it before?
No, I had not. Barnacle
You
had seen
were
it.
excited about seeing it, and then you
Very
got
excited about seeing it.
And did it live up to your expectations?
Yes, it did.
I loved
Really?
it, and I don't like
Incredible
movies.
actors. It was a wonderful movie. You got to go see it. Everybody's got to go see it.
Okay, so President Trump launched his re-election campaign in Florida last night in a state where he is currently trailing his potential Democratic opponents. A Quinnipiac University poll released before his rally has former Vice President Joe Biden leading Trump 50% to 41% in Florida.
In Florida. He's down 9 points in Florida?
While Senator Bernie Sanders is up by 6 points, 48 to 42.
He's losing by 6 points to a socialist in
Senator
Florida?
Elizabeth Warren has a 4-point edge over Trump, 47 to 43. This is the campaign I'm watching.
The person he calls Pocahontas all the time is beating him by 4 points.
And the president is within the margin of error with Senator Kamala Harris, Beto O'Rourke, and Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Beto's beating you, Donald. I just wanted to let you know that.
In your home state.
In your home state.
In your home state.
Beto.
In your home
seriously,
state.
this is like Beto shooting like 32% in the first half, right? And he's still ahead. That's when you know your basketball team's going to like win or lose.
In your home state.
Home state.
That's just brutal to losing.
Last night's rally saw no new announcements, no significant change in rhetoric. The president spent more time discussing past grudges and old promises than providing a vision for the future. The Orlando rally was Trump's 60th campaign-style arena event since taking office less than 900 days ago. It was the 7th rally he's held in Florida during his presidency, and the second one that he has held in Orlando. As the New York Times puts it, by the end of Mr. Trump's 76-minute speech, there were patches of blue seats visible across the arena. Some supporters had left the rally early, maybe because they had seen it before.
Yeah.
Our radical Democrat opponents are driven by hatred, prejudice, and rage. They want to destroy you, and they want to destroy our country as we know it. This election is a verdict on whether we want to live in a country where the people who lose an election refuse to concede and spend the next 2 years trying to shred our Constitution and rip your country apart. You remember during one of the debates when crooked Hillary said, "If I win, are you going to support me?" But I must be honest, I didn't give her a great answer. That might have been my hardest question during the debates. Lindsey Graham was doing okay in South Carolina. Isn't that great? Now he's through the roof. So, Lindsey Graham, they delete and they acid wash, which is very expensive. Nobody does it. They acid wash those emails. Never to be seen again, but we may find them somewhere deep in the State Department. 33,000 emails. But let's see what happens.
He is talking about 33,000
screaming.
Like Eddie, your thoughts?
I watched it last night reluctantly, I must admit, and it was horrible in every way. Horrible in every way.
Yeah.
He's doubled down on the culture wars. Mm-hmm. That's how he won in 2016. Yeah. That's how he thinks he's going to win now. Yeah. And, Fat Elvis, Joe, is, I think, apt.
You nailed it.
I think that's right on point.
Elvis 77, kind of lumbering across the stage,
absolutely.
Sweating, getting the scarves, slowly taking them around and throwing them in the
forgetting the lyrics.
Crowds,
yeah.
Forgetting the lyrics. Ryan Fournier, this actually is not all about just sort of trolling Donald Trump this morning. It may sound like it, but it's not. You realized in 2016, I think more than many, that Donald Trump was viable and that Donald Trump could win states like Michigan. Part of that had to do with the fact, and I remember the first rally we saw in New Hampshire. There was nothing like it ever before in American politics. Right. And half of the time we were had our mouths wide open, just staring at the spectacle before us. And the other half of the time we were like, when's this campaign going to collapse? It's teetering on the brink of collapse. Of course, it never did. 4 years later, I think if you're a showman like Donald Trump, if you're the P.T. Barnum of American politics, the greatest show on earth, you can afford to be many things, but the one thing you can't afford to be is dull and predictable. And I think that's 12 minutes in. That's the bigger point here this morning. What are your thoughts as you sit in, as you report from one of the most important states in America going into the 2020 campaign?
I'm back to where I was 4 years ago. This is a guy in an era of celebrity, in an era of grievance, when voters are so aggrieved, when so many voters are so aggrieved. The secret to his success is he's been able to reflect and validate voters' grievances. So yes, what we saw yesterday was old news, but we can't underestimate his ability to be able to find new ways to reflect people's grievances, new ways to be abhorrent. We saw him yesterday talking about mass deportations of immigrants. So that's a new twist on the old song and dance. What's really going to be new for him is his opponent. Can there be a Democratic opponent, the opponent a year from now who's standing up against him? Will she or he be able to reflect and validate people's grievances and offer concrete plans to address them? So we know Donald Trump can't do the latter.
So let me ask you this, Ron, again, because you know so much about the state of Michigan, and Michigan is key. It's hard for Donald Trump to find a way forward without winning states like Michigan and Wisconsin.
Right.
He had to draw an inside straight to win that state.
Yep.
And the people that voted for him, what he was found was people were pretty darn smart. They knew what was in their best interest, and they voted that way. 4 years later, I mean, his promises haven't come true. They don't have better health care. They don't have better jobs. The communities haven't come back. The manufacturing jobs haven't come back. They can see that his promises weren't completed, which is why I saw a poll his reelect was 31 or 32% in Michigan a couple of months ago. How does Donald Trump draw that inside straight again in Michigan if people can see that their lives are not better today than they were 4 years ago?
The only way he does it if Democrats blow it. You look at a county like Macomb County that voted for Barack Obama twice and then voted for Donald Trump. Can the Democrat who stands up against Trump address their grievances, validate their grievances, and have concrete plans to address them? Can a Democrat position her or himself, like Barack Obama did, like Bill Clinton did, as a disruptor? But unlike Donald Trump, being an affirmative disruptor who's able to promise to bring about real change. These are voters who were let down by Democrats. These are voters who were let down by Republicans. And now, to your point, they've been let down by Donald Trump. That does not mean, though, that the game is over. The Democratic Party has to come up with somebody who can do this in the right way. Michigan could still be lost. You look at, it's not just counties like Macomb County and how the Democrats and Trump play off against white working class voters. The next Democratic nominee better get Detroit African-American voters out, better get African-American voters out in Flint and Saginaw. There are a lot of Democratic base voters who still disappointed in their party. And they're not going to necessarily come out in mass numbers just to take on Donald Trump.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.